walk through the fire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My mama raised me with thee. And if you knew my grandmother, you'd understand what I mean. I was born for this mission. Do not need your permission to be who I was born to be. Hi, welcome to another episode of I Thought We Wanted Change, where we have real conversations with real people who speak the unapologetic truth. I am your host, Sister Akinbade, and with me is my amazing co-host, the lovely Dr. Naseba. So today we have a powerful story testimony from Carol Moses Reed, a story of radical transformation, redemption, and discovering her identity as a daughter of the King. So you don't want to miss this inspiring conversation. So Carol, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
And
so
we're
much for
truly,
having me.
yeah, we're truly honored to have you.
Thank you.
So, before we begin, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Carol Reed. I'm originally from California. I moved to Houston in 2001 from Hawaii. I've been in ministry for 30 years. I'm an ordained minister. I'm also a prophet. I'm an event coordinator, part-time realtor. I mentor women. I'm a different sort of minister when I say that. I mean, I'm not confined it to the four walls of the church. I believe in going into the highways and the byways and tangibly touching people's lives. I love the Lord. I'm a little out of the box. I say what it is. If it quack like a duck, it's a duck. Um, um, I've been brought from a mighty place, and I'm grateful. If I could say what would be my heart posture in my life right now, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because he could have chose anybody, but he chose me, and I'm grateful. I accept my assignment. I accept my purpose gracefully, graciously, because he could have left me where I was, and he didn't. That's me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. So, our title is Soul to Saved, from prostitution to a woman of God, right?
Yes.
So, before you got saved, what did your daily life look like and how did you feel it emotionally and spiritually change?
Um. So let me start right here. I come from a good rounded background.
Okay.
I'm a dad, both in the house, youngest of four, South Central LA. Grew up in the 60s. I'll be 64. I know I look young, but I'll be 64 in May. So I
Okay.
grew up in the era where blacks were achieving things. People were having jobs and buying homes, and so I'm not a product of a broken home. I'm not a product of somebody that didn't have guidance. A lot of people think that a person only ends up in that situation when they did not have family, but that's not the case here. So before I got into what I got into, I was a normal little girl who was outspoken, and I was creative, and I loved life. And then one day it changed from spiritual attacks. A lot of times people are physically in the natural attack, and so we can blame some of our choices from that physical attack. But I
Mhm.
didn't have a spiritual attack. I mean a physical attack. I had spiritual attacks. The Bible says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness, things in high places that we know not of. So as a young child, I was attacked spiritually. I was attacked spiritually as a young child, and there was nobody around me who had a spiritual relationship that could explain to me what I was experiencing. And because they were so outlandish, the things that I was experiencing, the spirit of shame attached itself to me. So I would not be willing to tell nobody, so I couldn't get no help because there was no way. And so when I say this, and a lot of people may know of this, and some may, this what I'm about to say may be new to a lot of people, and then from some people it may not be new. I was spiritually raped as a
Mhm.
child. There's two demons that roam the earth. One is called incubus and one is called succubus. They're sexual demons that
Okay.
torment women and men when they're asleep. And at the age of 6 years old, I began to experience this every night. And nobody physically, I wasn't raped by nobody. They would say, well, you need to go to psychiatrist and they're going to unveil that it was a family member. No, it was not. This was a spiritual attack. And the reason why it happened is so I could not get to where I'm at today. And so I was spiritually attacked, and everything that I did, I participated with other children. Everything that I experienced, I went and experienced it with other children. Some people call it playing doctor, playing nurse, playing house, but it's a real spirit. And we have to be careful as parents when we see our kids say, "Oh, I'm playing doctor." No, playing doctor will take you further than you want to go. And so I experienced that and didn't have anybody that I could share with what I was going through. And so anytime you can't get delivered of something, it's going to grow in you. It's going to mature in you. And at a certain point, it affected the family that I grew up in, because some things happened with relatives that I was the blame. I was the fault. And then I was labeled this bad kid.
Mhm.
I'm sorry about this light is acting silly
It's
over here on me,
okay.
y'all. And so I was labeled this bad, nasty little girl because nobody could explain to me what I was experiencing. And just imagine a child not knowing what they're experiencing and don't got nobody to explain it to them. I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but I went through that. So I was labeled the bad child. So anytime something happened, oh, it was Carol. It was Carol until I got older, and then something physically did happen to me. My mother's husband tried to rape me.
Mm.
And because I had this history of being this little girl that acted out, nobody believed me. My mother stood against me in a courtroom. And the devil say, "See, don't nobody love you." And that's how I ended up in prostitution. Because this spirit that I was dealing with was like, well, if they think you, I hope I can be open. If they think you're a hoe, you might as well be one. I remember my father telling me something a long time ago, and I took it the wrong way. When I look at it now, he said, whatever you're gonna be in life, be the best at it. And I took it literally. And so I said, if I'm gonna be one, I'm gonna be the best one. I'm gonna be the best one. And I turned my own self out to that life. The way I thought about me, the way I saw me. That's why it's important that we know who we are. Because when you don't know who you are, you listen to the forces that are around you, the spiritual forces that are around you. So I didn't have anybody to tell me any difference. So I believe that that was all that I was worth. I was only worth that.
Let me ask a question, right? With the spiritual attacks, the sexual spiritual attacks, do you believe that that's what caused you to choose the path that you chose?
I believe that that path was laid out to keep me from not believing in who I am.
Mhm.
And because I didn't have anybody that could relate to what I was going to, or even that I trusted to tell that too, it was something that I was like, I can't tell nobody this. They're gonna think I'm crazy. They're gonna lock me up. So when my mother's husband tried to rape me and my mother didn't protect me or believe in me, I psychically, in my psyche, believed that's all I was good. I was only good for sex. And so I took that journey, and it's crazy now that I look back at it, because all things work together for the good. I didn't know back then that those bad choices would be my bullet in the gun today. Because now I'm in a position I can speak to young women that's going through it. Why? Because I've been there. Had not I experienced those things, and it's a lot to my story. I don't know if you watch the documentaries, but it's a whole lot. But I don't believe, had I not experienced those things, that I would not be the person that I am today. I wouldn't have a level of empathy for people that are going through it, or I wouldn't even be able to see it, because sometimes you cannot recognize how someone is operating in something had not you experienced that thing yourself. So it gives me a different insight. When I see a little girl, I know how to minister to her. I can see it because it was on me. We call it familiar spirits. Okay. And so I never got in it because I wanted to be in it, but I felt that that's all that I was worth.
Okay,
And
so
so far to the fact that I always equated love with a sexual act. And that's sad. But that was my way of thinking.
That was your reality at that time.
Yeah, it was my reality at that time.
Yeah.
so many people watching may not understand how difficult it could be, but can you share your experience with prostitution, how it started off, like from the beginning?
Well, and this is the crazy thing. So my mother's husband tried to rape me. My father took me and moved me into an all-white community. I had a boyfriend at the time. He forbid me to see my boyfriend. I was immediately picked up and dropped into another community that I didn't know. And I was all by myself. And one night I saw the story, The Mac, the movie, The Mac, on TV, which glorified pimping and prostitution. And I see it to myself. And that looked kind of easy. I think I could do that. Nobody convinced me. It was me.
Hmm.
And I can remember running from my father's house because he would not let me see my boyfriend who had went to jail. And I ran back to LA, and I knew some little dope boys, some dope dealers. And I'm the one that brought it up to them. I said, hey, I got some girlfriends. I heard about this, that, and the third. And I knew just enough from the TV show that I watched of some of the things that you're supposed to do, right? So I went and found 3 other girls, and I never forgot, it was a guy named Scoop. I turned him out to the game, and I didn't even know it. And I remember the first night that I worked on the lowest end of the city, which is called Figueroa. Anybody that's from California knows it. And it was crazy because I can remember the very first night that I went out, and we each made a certain amount of money. And I remember we ended up at Fat Burgers. And I was like, so you mean I did all this hoeing to get a fat burger? Like, I was like, okay, this is not the right guy, because he don't have a vision for what I'm doing right here. Right. And so I said, okay, let's go to Hollywood. Sunset. The day I stepped on the track in Sunset, I went to jail the first night. I got caught. All of us got caught by the same undercover officer. And I remember going to jail, and I remember the officer who worked there. My mother worked in the dean ward in the hospital, okay, in the men's unit, in the dean ward, where the psych ward. And I look identical to my mother, like I'm her twin. And I got this mouth. So I was in there just talking and, trying to act like I was tough. And I could hear them talking over to the side. And it was like, I think that's Moses' daughter. And the guy called me over, and he said, you Dorothy Moses' daughter. And I was like, trying to be all fly. He said, you got options. Either you can give me one of your sister's numbers, or I'm going to call your mom. And I remember them calling my sister coming, they released me and my sister's were kindness, and she literally beat me up all the way home in the car. And I remember that day that I said, I don't want a pimp. I'm gonna do this on my own. And I remember my father had bought me a little Pinto, and this is how I taught myself the game. I drove up and down the street in Sunset until I understood the scenario that was going on. I visually taught myself the game. That's how I got in. It wasn't because of a pimp. Didn't nobody turn me out like most people think. Oh, that this person was trafficked. I wasn't trafficked. This was by my own doing. And nobody coerced me into it. This is what I was doing. But I was scary. So I didn't want to stand out on the corner like the other girls. So I kept on watching how the guys would come around in their cars and the girls would walk halfway down the block. And I was like, well, if I beat them down the block, I can catch the John before he makes the block. And so for a whole week, I would catch their tricks. I would drive down the street and catch them. And then, but if anybody knows anything about a very sexual person, she is an exhibitionist. She has to be seen. And so at the end of the night, I walk into the 7-Eleven and with all the pimps. And at the end of the night, I would get broke. They would take my money every night. So then I was forced to choose a pimp because I was tired of getting broke every night. And the very first pimp that I got, his name was Norman. And this guy beat me for 8 hours. I'll never forget it. He beat me for 8 hours. He took breaks and beat me. And you would think that would be enough, but I felt that's what I deserved. That's how much low self-esteem. When you don't know who you are, you'll let anybody do anything to you. And so I remember I'm telling him I want to leave, and he was driving me back to the place. And he looked at me, he said, "You so dumb." He said, "I was getting ready to buy you a Benz next week." And I looked at him, I said, "Really?" And I turned around and I went back. So I put my own self out there. I wasn't on crack in the beginning or any of those things. I drank a little, smoked a little weed, but I didn't do crack then. And then I got caught up in the Hollywood scene, and I met Jim Brown of the Cleveland Browns. And I don't know if you read that part of my story, but in 1984, I was Jim Brown's girlfriend. And we were arrested one morning for supposedly raping a school teacher, and we made the news. It was all over the news, and I was like, I'm a star, because in Hollywood, bad publicity is better than no publicity at all. At least they talking about you, right? And so, but that was another level of prostitution within itself, because if you wanted to get a role and if you wanted to do anything, you had to do what they call the casting couch, and we know what that is. And that's another. This is sex again, just to get a position. And so when the situation happened with Jim Brown, everything opened up to me in Hollywood. The Lakers, Playboy Mansion, Barry Gordy's house. I was in all of those places because Hollywood loves drama. And I thought that's what I wanted. And I remember a young man, Jim Brown gave me my 23rd birthday party. And I remember there was a young man there. His name was Nikita Harvey. And I wanted him. I wanted him sexually. I had never been turned down by a man. And I remember this young man telling me one day, he said, "My mother loved me and she's never touched me. God loves me and never touched me. What makes you any different?" He said, "Love is not a physical thing. If you're just waiting for somebody to have sex with you, then you're highly mistaken. You don't know what love is, because love waits." And he offended me. It offended me and it hurt me. And I got mad, and all at the same time. And the very next day, that young man was killed in a motorcycle accident. And it blew my mind, because I knew that he was meant to send me that message. The night before his funeral, I'm coming out of a restaurant, hanging out in Hollywood, and this guy walks up to me and he's asking me for my phone number, and he's drunk, and he invites me to come to Hawaii. And I ended up going to Hawaii and got my first real pimp, and I was in love with him. And that's the man that I married. I married him. We were together for 33 years. Um, but it wasn't something that I wanted to stay in. I just didn't know what I wanted. I didn't even know what I deserved. Not so much what I wanted, not even what I deserved as a person, because I didn't have a woman in my life, or somebody to tell me, or show me my worth, or sit me down and make me really look at myself. I didn't, and I'm not being conceited or anything, but I didn't know how cute I was for a long time. I did not. I did not know how cute I was. It took a long time for me, and not until after I gave my life to the Lord did I really look at it. I was like, you kind of cute, Carol. Because I had just beat up on myself mentally. Not only physically, because I had been beat so many times, but I had beat up on myself to say, I can never do nothing else. This is the only thing I can do. And I believed it so much, and that's what kept me in that life.
So, can you describe your marriage for me? Because I seen on one of the videos that you sent me, it said that I shared my husband with 17 women. Can you
He
explain
was a
that?
pimp. He was an international pimp from Hawaii, better
Okay.
known as the Rolls Royce game. There's newspaper articles. His name is Isaiah Reed, Bishop Isaiah Reed. Like I said, the night before the night before the young man's funeral, I met him at a club, wrote my number in his hand, and then I was all over the news with Jim Brown. So when he realized who I was, he was like, "Man, I'm about to take her." So he invited me to come to Hawaii, where I fell in love with him. Well, I won't say I fell in love with. I fell in lust with him. Okay. Men are projectors and women are receptors. That's why a lot of times when a woman gets in a relationship with a man, it's hard for her to leave. Why? Because he's in you. He done left a remnant of him inside of you. That's where we get our soul ties from. So I remember going to Hawaii, having this lustful thing with him, and then he told me he needed to get rid of me because I was gonna ruin his life because he had fallen in love. Pimps don't fall in love. They fall into money. That's what they do. So he sent me back to Jim Brown, but because he was in me, I went back and I worked for him. And he had 17 prostitutes. When I first met him, I said either he's a dope dealer or he's a pimp. And he took me on a picnic, and I never forget. I asked him, "What do you do?" He said, "I got hoes." And I was like, "Well, you're not cute enough. Maybe I can run them off." But then when he told me how many he had, I was like, "Man, I don't know about all that." But I had already taken the bait. I already had said this is what I wanted to do. And he sent me back to Jim Brown. I was back with Jim for about a week and a half, and I decided to go back. And so I spent 15 years working for him, on and off with all the drama. And my thing was I really just wanted to be loved. Out of everything in my life, I just didn't know what it would look like. I had the wrong example of what love should look like. And but I willingly shared him. I'll never say that I was threatened to stay in that life, because that's not true. This was a conscious decision that I made for myself. And people got to understand, you make a conscious decision to get in, you got to make a conscious decision to get out. You got to see the worth in yourself. If you don't never finally find yourself, you'll die in that thing. I know women that have died in that thing. Years after I've gotten saved, I'm going back because I'm into ministry and I'm ministering all over the world. And I go back to do a tour of Hawaii, and I go into a resale store, and the Holy Spirit say, look at this girl sitting on this bench. It was a girl that I knew from the streets. And I was going to save her. God, let me get her. Thank you for letting me see her. And the Holy Spirit said, he said, I didn't let you see her for that. I wanted you to see where you could still be. And that blew my mind. So that is when I understood I have a responsibility to this deliverance. I have a responsibility. I can't be ashamed to share my story. A lot of people say, don't nobody want to hear that. Yes, there's people that need to hear it. That's a lie. There are young girls right now that are going out to the track every day, okay? Because mama's boyfriend then had sex with him and mama didn't believe him. Believe your children. Believe your daughter. When she comes and tells you somebody's messing with her, believe that child. And there needs to be somebody that's willing to say, I don't care if y'all judge me. I could care less. You can't say nothing more about me that I didn't already say about myself. So stand in line. Somebody has to be a voice to say, you know what? I was out there almost 20 years. God redeemed me. He healed me. He put a word in my mouth and he let me loose. And I'm never going to be quiet about it because I know that there's young men and young women that just need to know they got questions. Is it real? Does it work? And will it last? When I come out of this, am I worthy to be changed? Am I worthy for somebody to give up their life for me? Am I worthy to be whole? And the answer to that is yes. Because anything God does for one person, he'll do it for another. He don't love me more than he loves somebody else. The maker, the creator, he don't love me more. My job is when I get out is to tell that, yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are. And you've got somebody that is lined up that's a design to come across your path so you can have a conversation with them to help them get out of where they are. And that's my whole purpose in life. It's not about glorifying that life because that's a horrible life to live. But if we're not completely honest about it, then we leave areas that are untapped where the question, the thought, the curiosity of that life will draw a young man and a young woman in if nobody's willing to talk about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what's up with our questions? What's next?
I'm sorry, my grandbaby came to see me, so I had to like love on her real quick.
No, it's okay.
um, so how long were you married?
That's what I was gonna
I
ask.
so
You 30 years?
I was with him for 33 years and I was married to him for 23 years. In 2017, I left. Um, Let me explain something to you, uh, to the viewers. When you're brought out of such a heavy spirit of that lifestyle, and we was making money. Okay, I wasn't a broke hoe. I wasn't standing on the corner business. Even though I stood on the corner, I wasn't a broke hoe. I had money. We had Rolls Royces. I had bling. You couldn't, if you saw me, you wouldn't have known that I was doing because I had the look of innocent on my side. I had that thing. But when you come out of that lifestyle of having all that money and then another platform is created for you where there's even more money, because despite what people say, ministry is big business. They'll lie. They can lie to you if they want to, but ministry is big business, and that's the biggest pimp in the world is the pulpit. And we're
Mm.
gonna touch on that on the very end so I can talk about the shamil. But ministry is the pulpit can be pimped. And when he got saved first, gave his life to the Lord. His life was changed. He waited 5 years for me, and then I came. And then God just catapulted our ministry. We ended up on every Christian program you can think of. They did documentaries about me. They put me in different books. I'm traveling to South Africa to every year. I'm on these big. This is a girl. I just 6 months ago I was on the track. What y'all mean? What we doing here? But people who are in ministry that are not real about ministry become manipulators of ministry. And they find the thing that has the charismatic ability to draw people in, because when people are moved, they have a tendency to give. Don't nobody want to talk about that. But ministry is business. And I found myself getting pimped in ministry more than I ever got pimped on the track. And won't nobody talk about that because not everybody that's a minister is really of God. I don't care what they say. And I experienced it. So our lives became full of traveling and money. And I'm gonna say this about a man. Anytime a man does not live up to the expectations that he has set for his life, and
Mm-hmm.
things don't work out the way that he intended it to work out, he'll fall back into his vices. And so you got to understand, you brought a pimp and a hoe from the track and put them on this big global stage. And now he can't live up to it because the money has taken over. And so he began to go back to his old ways. And I was afraid because I didn't ever want to go back. Once God touched me, I never wanted to go back to that. That was the last thing that I wanted to do. And to the point that when we began to minister, he would go out for a whole month and we get blessed with like $10,000 for the whole month. I could go out in 7 days because I have a prophetic gift. And so people would give into that. And so I came to a point when I saw that his desire for money was more than honoring God. I decided I'm not going to minister no more. I'm not going to stand by you. I'm not going to do it because I had a fear of God, okay, of what can happen to me if I continue. So I stopped. And I gave him time to try and get himself together. Now, I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I'm putting all the blame on him because any marriage that breaks up, everybody plays a part in the demise of it.
Yeah.
So please don't misunderstand, because my sons will be watching. I ain't putting all this on your dad. We all played a part in it. The only thing different is I put myself out so I wouldn't dishonor God. And he stayed in. And when I gave him the time to do what was right through counseling, and that's why I say every man needs a man and every woman needs a woman to speak into their life. We all need somebody that we have that we are accountable to. And when you don't have anybody that you're accountable to or anybody that you won't answer to, you'll run out and run amok. And people get hurt in the process. And so because he would not submit to any of the men, and I was sending them, letting them know, hey, he's doing this, he's doing that. But he was so clever with the word. This is what I'm talking about, ministers that manipulate. Clever with the word. He could take that word and make you scratch your head and say, wait a minute, is there something wrong with him? And that's just, and I've seen it from multiple ministers. You know what I'm saying? They'll preach the word of God, but their heart is far from it. And so that's where in 2017, that was it for me. I couldn't take it anymore. And so I walked away from the marriage.
So during the marriage, right? At first,
Mm-hmm.
you said he had, I don't want to refer to these ladies as hoes, but you said that he had 17 prostitutes at the time, right? So did that last
Mm-hmm.
throughout the marriage, or did it at one point did he stop like
No, no, no.
pimping?
Once we got married, he wasn't pimping no more. No, no, no. When we were
Oh,
in the lifestyle, no, 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 no,
okay,
no, no, no,
understood.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
When we were in the lifestyle, he had prostitutes in different states, in different cities. Okay. Once he got saved because the Holy Spirit came into a crack house, and that's how he got saved. Okay. He got saved first, and then I got saved 5 years later. So he was already well into the ministry. He had walked away from it, and I was still out there. And by this time, I was a crackhead. I was smoking
Mhm.
crack. Only thing I never did is I never did heroin. I was afraid of the needle. And so I knew it was no coming back if I ever did that. But in our marriage, no, no, no. He was a good husband.
Okay.
We were married. He didn't cheat on me until the end. And it wasn't even a point that he cheated on me per se, because as women, and it's not a compliment to us as Black women, but we forgive that kind of stuff. Like we have a habit of forgiving a man that cheats. And so that wasn't something that I couldn't get over, but I couldn't get over, I can't trust you no more. So if I can't
Mhm.
trust you, then all my respect goes out the window. So I gave him 5 years to get it together. If I can't trust you, I'm gonna respect you. And then my mouth get fly. Like, I don't do well. Like this flesh was going to hell. I'm gonna say something. And so After a certain amount of time of me waiting for him to get it together, and he didn't. I have a Down syndrome daughter right now that's 23 years old. She just walked by. I don't know if y'all saw her,
Yeah, I've
but
seen it.
I had to make a choice because I knew that if he continued doing what he was doing and I accepted that, I might end up back on the streets. And I had to look at my baby and say, who's going to protect her?
Hmm.
And so I chose her. I had raised all my sons. And I was like, I'm choosing my daughter. And then I knew it was time to go when I told him, excuse my French, you effing around and you want to meet Jesus and I'm gonna help you out. That was my words. And the Lord said, you meant that. It's time for you to go. And so that's how I ended up. And I gave him a year to try and fix it and fix himself and get counseling. And right when I thought that he had changed, he ended up in a hospital for something, and I ended up with his phone and to find out that he's dating strippers. And I'm like, you know what? When he passed, y'all just call me and we're going to make this funeral arrangements. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to lose my life and my
Right.
daughter's life behind this. You know, I'm gonna let you live. I'm gonna let you have your life if that's what you want, but you just can't have me. You know, but I
So,
was a loyal wife. I was a good mother. I raised all my sons. You know, I never stepped out of the relationship. I was always, I was a wife. I was a good wife. That's all I can say. You know, he still loved me to this day. He called me every single day, sometimes 3 times a day. You know, because when you lose that one good woman, there is no replacing her. When you know that she been good to you.
How do you manage being or seeing all of this game within the ministry?
Well, you don't know me, but natural, I'm pretty sure have heard of me. I just dealt with a situation where I had to deal with a peon minister. I address them. I address them. I check them at the door. I don't play with them no more because you're playing with somebody's life. You playing with somebody's life. I just came out of a situation. It was all over my page where I had to check this. So I can't even call him a minister of the gospel, and because he tried to play me, and I'm not to be played with. I treat everybody with respect. I love the Lord. I love the things of God, and I'm not the person to see it and not say nothing. And what hurts, I think, the most is that there is no accountability in ministers. They'll cover it and let it keep going. As an example, my ex-husband was operating in that spirit, and I would go to the men of God that I said, I think maybe he'll listen to one of them. And they say, well, Carol, we're going to bring him down and let him, get himself together and put him on a sabbatical. And then I find out suddenly he's preaching in church. Wait a minute, where's your accountability to God? Because for the simple fact, don't you know whatever you allowing over your pulpit is funneling out on the people, and you're going to be held accountable if you knew that person wasn't operating in the right spirit and you still allowed him. So there's no accountability in the body, period. Not in the Christian community. They turn the other hand. And normally when there's a situation that's happening where the pastor then took another woman, the ex-wife is the one that's ostracized, not the man of God. They cover him. Oh, cover the man of God. We ain't covering nothing no more. No, you don't get to cover, especially when you're manipulating for money. I got a problem with it.
hmm
I got a big
so,
problem.
so are these ministers like men that you are dealing with in an intimate manner, or is just ministers that you know in general?
No, the one that I dealt with that I just checked, we were intimate. And that's my own mistake. And I take accountability for that. And that's where the problem lies. If I'm gonna hold me accountable, I'm gonna hold you accountable too. But but there's nobody else that's in a position to hold that person to accountable. So if I'm calling you out on that, who's stepping up and say, man of God, what are you doing to these women, the women of God? You're using the guise of marriage to manipulate a woman out of what's between her legs and her money for your own selfish gain. And then when you're called out on the mat, there's no accountability on it. And the woman is telling the truth and you making everybody think she crazy. So that was a personal experience. Now, I've known of other ministers that have done it and that I've gone to the leadership about it and they do nothing. They've done nothing. And see, this is why for Christians, they say Jesus is returning. He's coming back as a warrior. Yes, he is. But he's coming back to check y'all first. He coming back to check the church. What are you doing? Because some people, he gonna say, I never knew you. Oh, I won so-and-so to the Lord. Did you see the great works that he gonna be saying, get behind me? I don't know you. Because you didn't hold your, and the sad thing about it is people's lives get destroyed in the midst of that. And no one's thinking about that. So I was hurt to my core when this last situation happened. He's lucky he's still standing right now. And that's all truth. Everybody named Mama had to say, Kira, calm down, because I want to go. I want to go see him. But instead, I'm taking him to court.
Mhm. So I know no one is perfect, right? But being that he is a pastor, or what's his title?
He calls himself a bishop. I want to know the ninja that gave it to him because they need to take it back.
Okay, so with him being a bishop, wouldn't it be wise to wait until marriage to be
It,
intimate with
it,
him?
it would be right. And so I don't take any accountability away from myself. Okay,
Okay,
we're gonna stand
I'm
we're
glad
gonna
you said
stand on
that.
that. Okay, I'm not taking any accountability away from me of what I should have done. And
Okay.
I actually came into the scenario saying, I want us to do this. And for whatever reason, I allowed it to slide and I did it anyway. I stand on my own accountability. I hold my own self. Can't nobody get close to me now. They can forget about it. Don't even breathe in my direction. Okay. Unless you're going to put a ring on my finger, period.
Good.
So I hold my own self accountable. And this is where the problem lies. If I'm willing to hold myself accountable, why you can't hold yourself accountable? And you're responsible for more people than I'm responsible for. You know what I'm saying? And come to find out, and I'm pretty sure they're watching now. He's on to the next one, the next victim.
So I did hear something about like money being involved in that
Yep,
situation.
$1,500. Yes. So I gave freely on some other money, but he told me about a business deal that he had, and I invested $1,500 in it. He got mad because y'all don't laugh at me. He got mad because I talked about his little itty bitty man, and his manhood got upset because I revealed to him, and the whole problem why he is doing what he's doing because I exposed his little manhood.
So hold on, but you being a prophetess, right? How come you didn't know his manhood was little before you dived in?
Well, we don't know all that. Don't let's not play like that because we don't know all that. Okay, we don't know all that.
It's a
I'm not gonna
question.
sit
I
up
just
here and say I know all that. I don't know everything. We find in part, and then we gotta also understand we
yeah,
live in our flesh. We
yeah,
gotta stop playing with it.
what
Part of us, this flesh is going to hell.
yeah.
Okay, and it was a conscious decision that
What
I
made
made.
you
I take
out him
full
like that?
responsibility for that, and that
I'm
was.
glad you're taking responsibility because that was
And,
a question that was on the screen. What part did you play in the
oh no,
situation?
I take responsibility of not wanting to wait on allowing him because a person can only do what you allow them to do. So
Facts.
I allowed it to happen, knowing against my own better judgment.
Mhm.
But I did it. But the problem with it lies is okay, we made that mistake. But that don't negate my $1,500. I'm not gonna let you slide because you mad because I told about your little bitty man, and now you don't want to give me my money. Now that's two different things. And so he's trying to deny the whole thing. None of it happened. He's trying to say none of it happened. He's trying to say he didn't even have sex with me to save face
Okay.
because I said his little winky dink was a little winky dink. Okay, I take accountability for it. I'm not taking away. He's mad because I exposed him. He threatened me. This is how it all came out. He sent me a message. He said, I'm afraid that if I don't satisfy you, you're gonna tell everybody, right? So in the midst of the act happening, he threatens me. He chokes me and pulls my hair.
How
And
long
that
was
was it
it?
for me.
Huh?
Yes. And said, if you tell anybody, I'm gonna get you. And that was the worst thing he could have did. And
He
so
choked
he choked me. He
during the
choked
act
me
or like
during the
just
act. And I'm not no masochist. I'm not no sadism. I'm not into all that, but that's what he did. And so then what happened was, if we and I really didn't want to stay too much on this. What happened was we had got into a a disagreement, right? And so I was like, you out here playing games, and I'm not in the mood for these games that you're trying to play. I don't want to. I really don't want to deal with this. And I hung up the phone. He said that I hung up in his face, and this is how petty the man is. He goes to social media and begins to talk about a scenario. He gives a hypothetical scenario that the women in his church start commenting on it to come that they was gonna come after somebody, right? So I was like, okay, so you're gonna do that? I'm just gonna tell the whole truth of what happened. He got mad because I exposed the relationship. So
okay.
he says, oh, she's just a stalker. I'm not a stalker, dude. I don't you weren't you didn't give me nothing to stalk. Okay, you didn't break my back. You didn't blow my back out. You didn't do nothing that was extraordinary. I'm being real though. If we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna talk about it 100% real. I'm not going to
I mean, I just
sugarcoat
wasn't
it. So,
ready. Like, okay,
huh?
I just
What
wasn't
you
ready.
say? You
I just
you
wasn't ready. Like,
No, but I'm real.
yeah,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm telling you
understood.
exactly how it happened. But anyway, at the end of the day, the man was mad because he got exposed, and he
Mhm.
felt since he got exposed, he could lie about the business arrangement that we had for the money because he felt that I would back off. He didn't understand my resolve. He didn't understand that I wasn't going to give up, that I was going to continue to talk about it. And he wants to save face because he's got a church full of women and all of them want him. Yeah,
This
yeah.
man must be Denzel. Um, so
And I really don't want to, like, stay too much on that because God's going to deal with that. And I've learned my lesson. I hold myself accountable for it. It won't happen again. But I want and I believe that God allowed me to go through it so that it could be a discussion. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? That women can hold themselves accountable, but also that the church holds these men accountable as well. This is why people don't want to go to church. This is why people don't want to be a part of a ministry because of somebody like this that would manipulate their position of authority with somebody. Because he knew that I wanted to be a wife again. He knew that. He knew the situation with me having my daughter. And
Yeah.
so though I accepted it and I take accountability for it, that was his intent all along. He came into it with that intent, and he's done it with other women. And the reason why I know is because when I came forward with it, women started coming into my inbox, telling me stuff, and I'm
Women
like,
is in
really?
the same church.
No. His ex-wife came to me,
Goodness
and
gracious.
4 other women came to me and said, "Oh, let me tell you the story about what he did to me the night before you." The one lady in particular that was in that church, he is sexually assaulted her in the parking lot. But you talking to me, but you sexually assaulted her. And the only reason why she didn't do it because she was afraid to be exposed. Some people are not as bold as me, and I don't really care what anybody says or feel about me. I don't care. It doesn't bother you. Got a hell to put me in or having to keep me out of. So that doesn't bother me. But not everybody has that backbone that says, I know people are going to be laughing, people are going to be saying this, but God required me to tell the truth. He required me, and that's what I did. But there's other women that have had similar experiences with the same man, but they were happy when I came forward. They were in my inbox like, I wish I was as bold as you. He assaulted a woman inside the parking lot of the church the same week, right before this was right before this happened, this situation happened. And she came forward. And so, God is going to deal with them. A person like that, their days are numbered when it comes to ministry, because they're gonna run across the real wrong person, and then they're gonna regret it, because you can't keep doing that and thinking that you're not gonna have to answer for that, because you will eventually.
So do you feel like you were scammed out of your money?
Oh, I definitely know so. But I already have a civil suit against him. I'm gonna
Okay.
get my money back. Oh, I'm gonna get my money back. He want. I have every text message from the conversation. He says, "Well, we didn't have a contract. No, a text message is a contract, sir. It holds up in court, and I will get my money back. But it was a lesson well learned for me.
Hmm.
And the thing about it is, coming from where I came from, the streets, I should have known better, but I did. I went against my own better judgment, and I allowed it. I was a willing participant in it. And for somebody to lie that it never happened, that's the part that baffles me. If I'm willing to tell the truth on all sides, not just on you, but on me, and you are so embarrassed that it happened, that you want to falsify the information and just keep on doubling down on it, that tells me what type of man you really are. And there's a judgment that's going to come along with that. And I feel sorry for him. I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm
With
not. Hmm,
with all the evidence you say you had against him, he still denied it?
oh, yeah. He still denied it. I got every text message, every message that we ever had about how we coming out. I'm gonna be yours. Where's my key? I want to live with you. I want to come visit you when I want to. I got all the text messages, and that's what he doesn't want to come out. He doesn't want the fact to come out that he was getting at me, because it will expose that he's also talking to other women. He don't want those other women, so he's made all the women block my page, so they can't see the conversations that are going on. They're so brainwashed, they're not going to look. And so, you know, it is what it is. But you can't continue to do something like that, and think that it's not, you're not going to be dealt with eventually. Eventually, you will be dealt with.
Would you date another bishop or
Absolutely not. I'd rather date a thug. I'll take a thug any day.
a
No,
thug?
I would never, because I just would never. I would never. And I told myself after I left
So,
my ex-husband that I didn't want.
oh,
I want a man that loves God. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
I want a man that loves God. I just don't want a man that's in a position like that. I don't. I don't need it. I don't want it. No, no. And
Okay.
Well,
especially with all that I'm working on. I've got things that I'm working on, which I really want to get to those. I'm working on a TV series about my life. And I know that all of this happened in order to distract me and get me off
Yeah.
of course of what I should have been working on. And see, I told you guys from the beginning, only thing I ever wanted in my life was love. And see, when you wear that on your sleeve, you get easily distracted and turned in the wrong direction trying to get love. Love will take you further than you wanted to go and keep you longer than you wanted to stay, when you feel like that's what you need. That's what you need to exist. And I realized, and through this situation, that loving, having somebody in my life is not the most important thing. The most important thing in my life is completing what I'm sent here to do. And this whole scenario was a distraction. It was a stumbling block. It got me so emotionally invested and I had so much anger about it that I couldn't focus on. I had completely put everything to the side what I was working on because of this man who God is going to deal with. But I let him steal time from me. And
So
so I'm not looking for a man. I don't want a man at all. God gonna have to knock me down with one this time. I want to complete what I'm sent here to do. Nothing
so
more.
do you feel like throughout all of this that you have found self-love?
I don't think I never did not love myself, but I didn't have boundaries, proper boundaries in it. Where I boundaries for myself, not just for them, but for me, my own self boundaries, where I say, you know what, Carol, you can't let nobody cross the line. You've got to hold your own self accountable. No matter how a person make you feel, you've got to understand that you're worth more than that. And if they're willing to make you, as a woman of God, go against what you know is not supposed to be, then that's the first clue that that's not a person that you need to be with. So it's my own boundaries for me, if that
Right.
makes any sense.
Right. Well, I'm glad you have taken accountability for your part that you played in the
Yeah,
situation.
I took that from day one. I did. From day one, I knew that I played a part in that. And I didn't want to come out with it. I did not. I did not. And I know that's where my blessing lies at today, is because I was obedient and I did tell on myself. And so um, for me, that is my solace, is that I know that I was obedient to what I heard the Father tell me to do, and I did it. And He's going to take care of him. That's not my place. And I'm gonna get back everything that was taken from me and some, because of my obedience. Because I could have kept my mouth shut and just went into the corner and patched up my wounds. But God said, no, talk about it. And I'm glad that I did, even though it's embarrassing. It is very embarrassing. Don't let my smile fool you. It's a embarrassing place, but at the same time, it left room for a conversation where other women were able to come through, that we could talk about it. I was able to minister to other women. Other women were able to minister to me. Had not this situation happened, I wouldn't have met his wife, Kayla Cockrell, who has ministered to me in a way that I am so grateful. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a scripture in the Bible says all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, that's called according to his purpose and plan. They mean the good things and the bad things. Some of us need some bad things to happen to us so we can understand who we really are. I actually probably needed this to happen so I could really draw a line and say, no, I'm not going to let you cross over it. I'm not going to cross over it. And so it was a bad situation that was needed to happen, because I'm more focused now than ever. That's why I really didn't want to talk about it. I want to talk about where I came from and what God is doing now. But it was a necessary evil. It was a necessary evil. It didn't feel good, but it was necessary. It was necessary. Nobody else will be able to get that close to me ever again. If they're not willing to put a ring on my finger, and I know that they're called from God to cover me and what I'm called to do, I pass. I'm good. I don't need that in my life.
So you're in
Not
a
no.
comfortable space in your life now.
I am. I'm in a comfortable space. I'm working on my TV series, which I have been working on my TV series for 3 years, waiting on funding to come forward. And I know that the enemy does not want that story to come forth. And he's gonna come probably at me in another circumstance or situation, because he's doing his job, is to get me off course.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to. It's a passion. It has to come to pass. It's going to come to pass. I have people behind me that believe in it, and that's my focus. And I had to ask myself, is anything or anyone worth me laying aside what I was called to do? And nobody is, unless it's that little girl in the room. Okay, nobody is worth me getting off of course of what I'm supposed to do. And this is a powerful story within me. My story, it's a powerful story. We're not able to even talk about everything that I went through. I had a young man that stalked me when I was 28 years old, tried to kill me and my oldest son. My father shot him 5 times with a 9mm in front of my face. That's a story right there. When somebody say they can't live without you, believe that, believe it, and get away from them. Because anybody that says, oh, I can't live like you don't, if I can't have you, can't nobody else have, that's a bad situation right there. And I lived through that. So there's this one situation with this peon got me off a track of all the great things that God has already done in my life, I spend time remorsing about this situation when then I didn't understand all the other great things that God did for me, all the great things that He brought me out. That young man could have killed me that day, and I wouldn't even be here to tell the story. So there's more to my story that the devil doesn't want to come forth. That's why the attack is always going to be great. Whenever God got something great for you to do, the devil is going to always bring you under attack and bring you under question. People to question your character, to question who you really are. And so for me, the lesson is for me to stay focused on what I'm supposed to do, because the only way it doesn't come to full fruition is if I abandon the story, if I walk away from it. That's the only way it's not going to happen. And so I'm good.
Okay, so what would you say to someone listening who feels trapped by their past or ashamed of their choices or doubting if redemption is even possible for them?
It is possible.
Mm.
Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Find somebody to get counseling from. It's good to have somebody that you can vent to, that 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 you can speak about. That's going to be honest with you. Not nobody that's going to sugarcoat it. You need somebody that's going to tell you what it is.
Uh,
Did she
Kim,
freeze?
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, I think she froze.
Just wait a couple of seconds to see what happens. I'll probably have to take her down and then have her come back. We're gonna end this soon, though. I wonder if she can hear. Carol, can you hear us?
You won't be able to hear her. You have to bring her back.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take her off and she could come back in. Okay, let me add her back. Okay, it's still okay. She's gonna have to come back. She's probably gonna have to hit the stream again. Can you hear me? Uh, Can you hear me now? Are you serious? What about now? This is ridiculous. Give me one moment. Okay, well, everybody's saying they can hear me. Maybe it just wasn't her. Hold on.
I hear,
Everybody, it's just you because everybody said they could hear me.
I hear you now.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna wait for Carol to
Yeah,
come back in. Very interesting story. Mm.
yeah, a lot of twists and turns there.
I just didn't expect that last last part, but at least she took accountability. Okay, Verizon. Let's look at some of these comments while we we're over here waiting. Okay, so
He said,
safe.
"Okay, Verizon."
That's
What?
what somebody says. Okay, Verizon. It won't. Okay, she's saying it won't let me in. Oh no. Okay.
Well, I mean, we can always recap it. You know what I mean? Recap the story real quick, and then we'll let that be that if she can't come back on.
Mm, let me see if I could probably resend her the link really quick, and maybe that'll work. Huh. Interesting.
It's not working.
Probably not. Okay. Okay, I sent it to her again, so let's see. Interesting story. I mean, she's been through a whole hell of a lot. I'm really glad that she took some accountability for her actions in that situation. Because if she did, okay, yay. Okay, she said I'm in, but I don't see. Here she go.
For her
There you
actions I'm
go.
here. In that situation. Okay, I'm here. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Yes, we can
Uh-huh.
hear you.
Okay,
I was
yay.
just saying
Okay,
that.
she
Oh,
said
it's an
I'm in,
echo.
but I don't see.
I was
Here
just saying
she
that I
go.
was
I'm here.
glad that you took
I'm
accountability,
here.
for the situation
I'm
and the
here.
part that you played in it. So, before we go, right? Um, if you could speak to your younger self before this transformation of yours, what words of encouragement would you give to
when
yourself?
when you're experiencing things that you don't understand, find somebody to talk to that you can trust, because I went through a lot of unnecessary things because I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to that would understand, that would be able to give me corrective criticism and also pray for me, and to help me stand. Because when you're a young girl and you're being bombarded by all these things and you don't understand it, it's crazy on your mind. Like, what do I do with this? um so I would say find somebody that you can trust. You have to have somebody that you can trust. My thing is that I didn't have a mother that was spiritually sound that I could go to. She was the one that came up against me. But when I was dealing with the spiritual stuff as a little girl, how do you even work with that as a 6, 7, 8 year old little girl? So I wouldn't even really know what to say, to be
Mm.
honest with you, because I was 6, 7, 8 years old when the stuff first started happening to me. I thought it was my imagination. That's what
Mhm.
I thought. I thought it was my imagination. As I got older, I would say stop putting your self-worth and self-value and opinion of who you are in the hands of other people, because they'll always play you less than what you're worth. You've
Mhm.
got to find your own self-worth. You got to find your own self-worth.
So T. Mosley says, I think she may be delivered, but her scars are still there and still affecting her choices. What would you say to that?
I would say you're wrong. um I am healing and operating while I'm being healed. It's not going to affect any choices I make in the future, because I've already served notice on myself. I'm not walking away from my assignment. I'm not
Mhm.
walking away from what I'm called to do, and that means I continually every day hold my own self accountable for the stupid decisions that I make, like we all should. Okay, and so as long as I keep myself accountable, I'm not hurt as far as I had sex with this man. That's not the part that hurt me. The part that hurt me is the lack of accountability in the church. Because what should have happened, both parties, the leadership or whoever the leadership is, should have called both parties in, and there should have been an open conversation. But instead, you cover the man of God and leave the woman out there like she's not nothing. So the only thing that hurts me out of all this, because he ain't the first man I've been with, he won't be the last. Okay, but the last one will be somebody that I marry. But he won't be the first. He won't be the last. I came from the streets, so that ain't no skin off my back per se. Okay,
Mhm.
but the thing that hurts me is the lack of accountability. If I hold
Mhm.
myself accountable, what gives somebody else not to hold their own self accountable? I think that's the thing that hurts the most out of everything, is the
Do,
lack of accountability.
yeah. Do you still go to that church?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, they don't want me to walk up in there. No, no, they don't want that. That's going to be a problem. The young man, Daryl Gann, is one of my spiritual sons. And
Okay.
and trust me, they want to walk up in there. I got sons and I'm holding them at bay, but they want to walk up in there. Okay. But no, I won't give him I won't give him that delight. God's going to deal with him, and of course, are going to deal with him, and then he'll get dealt with. But I would never walk up there. Matter of fact, it's hard for me to walk up into anybody's church at this moment. I don't trust anybody at all.
Well, I appreciate hearing the story. I have to get off because I have to get ready because I have work. Oh,
Okay, it
so
was nice meeting you.
nice
Yeah.
meeting.
So we'll go ahead and is there anybody that have any questions in the audience for
Excuse me.
Carol?
Somebody says, ask if your father.
Yeah.
My father
Yeah.
was in my life, but my mother and my father were divorced.
Okay.
And so he wasn't he wasn't present at the time the situation happened with my mom's husband. He tried to take me to go live with him because I was brought into a scenario that I didn't know, I
Hmm.
rebelled against it.
Okay.
You know, you gonna take a little black girl and put her in an all white neighborhood,
Mm.
and I'm supposed to be able to function. And so I
Right.
rebelled against it. I took my own self away from the covering of my father, but my father was always present in our lives. So we're not going to put any of that on him. Everything I did was a choice I made. I don't blame nobody.
Thank you. I love that because sometimes people really don't take accountability for their actions, and you're here telling your story and actually taking accountability for it. Can I really
Absolutely. Even
say?
though my mother's husband tried to rape me,
Uh-huh.
at some particular point in my life, I needed to get over that. You can
Hmm.
only blame a person for so long for the lack of them being there for you. At a certain, yeah, I can understand being upset for a certain amount of time, but after I finally had forgiven my mother's, the drug addiction was so bad, it now had a hold on me. So it continues to rewind the story in your head and where you're living it every day. Even though you're moved from the scenario, in your mind, you live in it every day. And that's where drug use come in because you try to numb yourself from the memory of it. You know what I'm saying? But my mother is not, I benefited my mom for, because she didn't know she wasn't mother. How can you mother if you haven't been mothered? You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't anything. And I was mad at her for a long, long time until I finally had a conversation with her and she just did not know what to do. She
Did
didn't
she
know what
stay
to do.
with him?
Huh? She
Did she
stayed
stay?
with him for about another year, I think. And then it came out that he had did it to somebody else.
So it took her nothing.
Yeah, it took her a year. And even after that, she denied it for a long, long time. She denied it for a long, long, long time to the point I could not have her in my life anymore. I had to say, you know, hey, now I was under drugs and alcohol and all those things back then. And so I can understand you might not want to believe me, but I'm in my sane mind. And I'm telling you today, this happened to me. And if you can't accept it, I can't accept you in my life
Hmm.
because I'm not gonna let you keep on thinking in the back of your mind that I lied about that. And to the when she finally came to terms with it, and we cried about it, and I had always forgiven her. I needed her to admit it so she could forgive herself for not being what I needed her to be. And we're the best of friends today. My mom's still alive. My dad isn't.
Understood. Well, Carol, thank you again for sharing your story with us today. Your journey from pain, abuse, and a life that felt hopeless to you to discover your salvation, embarking your identity as a daughter of the King, as you would say. And it's truly empowering and inspiring. I would say that. So, to everyone listening, remember this: no matter your past, no matter your mistakes, no matter what struggles you have faced, there is hope, redemption, and a new beginning waiting for you. So, transformation is possible. So I hope Carol's testimony encourage you to believe in yourself, lean into your faith, whatever that may be, and step boldly into the life that you were always meant to live. So
Thank you,
thank
Carol, for coming on.
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you guys for having me. I
And
know I
thank
did
you.
some shockers. I wasn't trying to shock nobody, but
Yeah,
the truth is
you
the
did
truth is the
that.
truth. The truth is what it is. Sometimes we like to tell on everybody else, but we don't want to tell on ourselves.
Yeah.
Facts. So,
It is
Uh,
what it is.
yeah. So thank you for joining us
Thank
on
you for
our
having me.
on another episode of I Thought You Want We Want to Change. And until next time, keep speaking the truth and embracing your journey. Peace.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.